All right, Tech in a Flash. Matthew Rebstock is a visionary entrepreneur and the esteemed owner of Tech in a Flash, a leading managed IT service provider spearheading Southwest Florida's cybersecurity revolution. With a background as a United States Air Force programmer, hey, thank you for your service, and CompUSA tech manager, Matthew brings over 2 decades of expertise to the table. He is committed to provocative IT solutions, empowering businesses to safeguard against cyber threats with innovative strategies and cutting edge technologies. He cemented his commitment with his recent published book entitled Not Today Hackers, which serves as a business owner's guide to practical and proven protections to prevent cyber incidents. Please welcome Matthew Rebstock.
Thank you. Is it on? There we go. Perfect. So pretty much, Paul asked me to come here and talk to you guys. In the email, it said something about Windows intrusion. I said I had a lot to talk about the subject, but I don't think it's the way that you guys think about it. It's Windows, the operating system on your computers. Unfortunately, the state of cybersecurity in our area right now is that the cyber attackers, whether they're abroad or in the country, whatever it happens to be, they know what's going on in our area. So last year, we probably had about 17 different cyber incidents that we dealt with. The majority of them are all focused on people in the construction industry. We've got roofers, we've got developers, we've got everybody that supports them. And I think outside of that, we had maybe an accountant and a real estate agent that got hacked. So when Paul was talking to you about the $25,000 incident, that's on the small end of the scale. We recently just had a real estate agent that basically had her bank account hacked into. This happened end of December. $147,000 was wired to the Philippines. So a lot of people, and every single one of these instances that we go through, these people say, well, how could this happen? And we do our audit and we show them exactly how it happened. And they said, I have no clue. So my goal today, I'm kind of on a mission to help protect as many people as possible from their livelihoods being at stake. So hopefully you walk away from this learning at least one thing that you can take home to prevent some kind of cyber threat. Just case in point with this lady, we found out that the password that she was using was also stored on her computer. She used it for 52 other websites. That not the one for her bank, but one that she used somewhere else was actually exposed on the dark web. So that basically means that it's out there, it's public knowledge, anybody can grab that information. So I want to ask you guys a question here. Who remembers this text message that came through? I think it was 2018. It was a text message that came through and said there's a nuclear missile inbound to Hawaii. You guys remember that? So the story behind it is basically that the alert broadcast system got hacked. And when they went through and they did their forensic audit of what happened, this was basically how that happened. Gentleman took a photo at work. Behind him in the background is a Post-it note with his password on it. That gentleman does not work for them anymore. But this is basically what we're facing here. So how many people here have a Post-it note with under the keep? Oh man, that's great. I know your boss. Anyways, it's all right. You have a password manager, sir. Come on, man. No. So the big thing here is talking about password hygiene, because every single client that has been hacked or that we've gone through and done a forensic audit or a security assessment for, we find passwords everywhere. And you think people get inventive about how they're storing passwords? You're putting it in the contacts on your phone. Nope, hackable. You're putting it in your Outlook contacts. No, hackable. I actually did a talk in front of a bunch of accountants where I asked them, where do you store your passwords? They said Excel. And they all said, but it's password protected. and I stopped what I was doing and I showed them in a matter of 2 minutes that I could get past that password. That password means nothing. So make sure that you have a very secure password manager, one that requires you to plug a password in that you've never used anywhere else, that requires a code to be sent to your phone or through that little authenticator app that you have. And then make sure that every single password that you guys are using is unique. And when I say unique, I'm not talking about if your password for one thing is fluffy123, you add an exclamation mark. Hackers, when they find one, they will find the pattern to everything. And you can't, you can say you're really smart and that you're not going to fall victim for a phishing scam, which may be the case. But what about that website that you're using? Like, who has a Target.com account? Anybody? Okay. So Target got hacked and all of the username and passwords in their database is out online that I can go download right now. So if that password that you're using is also a password in conjunction with your email account for, let's say, your bank account, the hackers are going to take that information. They have programs they just plug it into, and they will try 100,000 websites a day until they get a success. So just make sure that if you use a password manager like we do in my company, I click generate and I let it create this long garbly gook password. I don't even know what it is. That is the thing. So what if it does get hacked? So if it does, but here's the deal. So I would hazard a guess that 90% of the room right now, their passwords are stored in the browser on their computer. It takes me about 37 seconds. So, yeah. So that's the thing. I don't do this on a daily basis trying to hack people. Imagine how fast the hackers are at getting that information, right? They have programs built for this. So all of the passwords that you're storing in your browser, whether it's Chrome, whether it's Edge, whatever it happens to be, those are not protected. When you go to a website and it plugs in your password, did it ever ask you, verify you're actually you? Tell me you're you so that I can use your password. That's the problem. So you get you guys are already trusting a password manager. You're just trusting a very non-secure password manager. So I'm just saying put all your eggs into that basket with a password manager. If you want to take a backup of it, you want to export the data and keep it in a safe and paper form, that's totally fine. But I guess the reality of it is that you will never be able to have a unique password for every single thing that you have to log into. On average, somebody has roughly about 87 different sites that they have to maintain a password for just in their personal life, not even the business life, right? So who's going to remember all of those? There's no way to do it. So we've created technology that will basically secure it. So I just wanted to, I want to kind of direct you to one other piece here. So this is called a man-in-the-middle attack. It's a very sophisticated attack that we're seeing out in the wild. And I want you guys to know that this is something that happens. So you start thinking about when you're clicking on links. So basically what it starts with is what's called a MFA protected resource. It's a resource that you get that little code on your phone texted to you, or you have like an authenticator app, right? So what the hackers do is they stand up a server. It's basically like it's a replica of what you're used to seeing, okay? So you basically go to that fake website and you put your credentials in. The credentials goes into the hacker's site, but they actually forward it to the MFA protected resource, like you actually did it yourself. From there, an MFA request comes to your phone or wherever it happens to be. The hacker's going to ask for it. You're going to plug it in. That's going to go, the code's going to get forwarded back to the actual resource that you're not seeing. And all of a sudden, bingo, the hackers are in. But what you're going to see, because the hackers are really smart, is it's going to redirect you to a page that says, your password failed, try again. So you're not going to think that they have access to it. So just pay really close attention to websites, like the URL that's up in the top. When you're inside of your emails, don't click on links. You can either highlight them, copy and paste them, because I can make it say whatever I want and actually redirect you somewhere else, or hover over the link and read where it goes. And that's pretty much it. So hopefully you took something away from this. And if you guys have questions, I'll be here afterwards. I will tell you one thing. If you guys are curious, like the banker that we had, if you want to, actually, is this, yeah, this is the right one here. If you want to find out if your credentials are out on the dark web right now, you can use this QR code. You would just basically open up your phone, scan it. It's going to take you to a web page. Just fill out your name, your email address, and it has to be your business email address. We can't do a scan for somebody that has an @Gmail or @Hotmail. It has to be your business. Once you fill that out, we'll get all the data. It probably takes me about 3 business days to get the scan done, and it should. If you go through that scan or the QR code, it may ask you to book an appointment with me. That's basically for me to read the results out to you, because you do not want me to email them to you, because it's going to have secure data in there, right? If you really want me to email it to you and you don't want to book an appointment or whatever, totally fine. I'll email it to you. We will send it encrypted so that you'll have to put in a multi-factor password, but hopefully that brings some value to you guys.
We have a question over here. First question I'd like to ask is kind of personal. Do you see AI affecting businesses' IT security, and how so?
So the AI security piece, it's twofold. There's going to be a positive and there's going to be a negative. So I'll talk about the positive first. With us, we're actually leveraging AI to keep our clients more secure. So case in point, probably everybody here gets spam on a daily basis. And a lot of us will probably get something like, your CEO asked me to send you a gift card or whatever. We use AI to basically read the emails in advance and put like little banners at the top that are meaningful to that specific email. So it will tell you, hey, this person is pretending to be Paul, but they're not actually emailing from Paul's email. Please don't click on this, right? Instead of in the past, like it might just say this is a suspicious email, but it doesn't give instructions. So people are kind of desensitized to that. The other thing on the negative side is almost everyone here that gets a spam is going to say, hey, I can identify it because it has really crappy grammar. Like I can tell it's the Nigerian prince that's sending me whatever it happens to be, right? So the people that don't have English as their first language, they are essentially using AI to make their grammar of that of a college graduate from America. So you will never notice grammar being a problem anymore. You'll have to look for the other telltale signs like the URL pointing you to the wrong place or the display name or email looking like that of somebody that you do business with. So the last little thing that I want to throw out there to everybody is if anybody, and especially in like Paul's case, if anybody messages you about wiring money, pick up the phone and call them. Do not do it through email. Everything, and really anybody that, even if you say in your business you don't have, you don't ever wire, make sure you have that conversation with your vendors and your customers before the hackers do. Because even though you have that stance, if you don't outwardly state it, and the hackers get to the client first and say something about it, you'll end up realizing that they pay the hackers before they pay you. So I recommend to anybody that you're going to engage with that is going to be like a high dollar ticket item, or you may actually wire with them, you need to have something in place called an electronic funds transfer policy. It's just a written like legal mumbo jumbo, but you're going to give that to the client at the first engagement. And then you can do stuff like if you do a lot of wiring, put it in your email signature. So it states down in the bottom, if we ever change the way that we're wiring or we ask you to pay differently, this needs to be a verbal conversation over the phone, call us and put the phone number. So that way, if somebody does change, say, oh, you emailed me and I wired the money to that new bank account that you said you opened up, you can say, we already established this. That's not how we do business. And it's on them instead of on you.
We have another question. If anyone wants to hear another question, how about what issues are you seeing in our area in relation to wire fraud, as you brought up with Paul?
So unfortunately, back in the day, it was all ransomware, right? People are familiar with ransomware, where they basically they encrypt your data, you can't gain access to it, and then they ask you to pay money. Nowadays, it's almost all perpetrated via some kind of email breach and wire fraud. So we've actually seen I think out of the 17, there was like 13 of them. It was all wire fraud, and we're talking about yours was like $25,000. I think the most expensive one that we dealt with was $440,000. It was actually a paper company, a local paper company that deals with millions of pounds worth of paper. They're actually a client of ours. We have everything secured for them, and this still happened because what ended up happening was their vendor basically had their email address hacked. So as they're watching these emails going back and forth for this deal, the hacker ends up spinning up a fake email address that looks like my client's. There's no way that I can prevent something like that happening. Like if your email was papercompany@fortmyers.com, if somebody does papercompany@fortmyers.mail.com, like you need to be able to see something like that. Well, unfortunately, when they sent that email to the vendor, person paying the check or doing the wire didn't call them because they didn't have that conversation up front, and they ended up wiring the money to the hackers. They got half of it back, but still $220,000 like out the door. What's that? So they got half of it back because the wire actually went in 2 stages. So for wires, if anyone has this issue happen, time is of the essence. So you have 24 hours essentially before it leaves the bank and clears. So if you can call your bank and basically get that wire stopped, do that. If you missed the 24-hour window, and because this went in 2 stages, they missed it for the first one, but they didn't miss it for the second one. The second thing that you do is you contact your local FBI field office. They actually have a trace that they can put on it. Most of the time they can't get the money back, but they can figure out where it went to. And if it's in conjunction with somebody that they're investigating, they can help bring down that, whatever that crime syndicate ring is, right? Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Matthew.